Hey there, Shrine Runners! Welcome to the Fox Shrine. I'm Araxis, your host, and tonight we're going to be playing some more of the Great Ace Attorney. I've been looking forward to getting back to this. It may be an exhausting stream because of the amount of over-the-top characters and things you gotta read out, but it's a lot of fun. Hey there, Senpai. Hey there, Sarah. Hope you're all doing alright. I'm doing pretty good. Just got some dinner on the way, so admittedly we might be sort of like putting things on pause about half an hour in or so that I can sort of like eat a little bit, but we should be fine. Just have some lasagna. Alright. Let's get into the game then, shall we? Glad you're doing well, Sarah. Okay. Let's get things started, shall we? Now, do let me know if there are any issues, and let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so up to part 2 of episode 1, and things were getting crazy. Things were getting crazy. Right, we're just about to get some more statements from the witness slash possible murderer. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. I mean, it could be poison. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. We did establish at the start that there's no actual autopsy reports here, unfortunately. So, like, you got the post-mortem report, but this is just a police officer with no training, sort of having a look and saying, yeah, it looks like this person got shot, so they probably died from being shot. That sounds about right to me. Okay. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Did I hear a cat? Oh, did you hear me doing dramatic voices, kitty? Come here. No, run. Oh. Yeah, alright. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Why did I give her this voice? Oh, not at all! Not at all! It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. Oh my. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind your counsel that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Let's wake ourselves up for this. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination, and I shall go let the cat out. I know, right? Like, he might look like a stern man, but he's got a soft spot for kitties. Okay. So, no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. Okay. Yes. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. Just his reaction in the background. You can't not have noticed, can you? Huh? What? Ah! What fun! I can't even see your fly with you behind there. You hadn't even realized. The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. You have brought shame to your family and must commit seppuku. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing? Oh yes! I think my tiny brain can. Yes. Oh, well, I can't. Anyway... Okay, when the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. Yes! As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water. Is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although... Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I am afraid I don't remember that. Did you ever speak to him while he was at the table? Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Actually, no, we did speak with him. We did speak with him, so he must have died at the table, as I sort of thought. Somehow his hand, while he was dead, ended up on the hot plate, and then he got shot after he was dead. Okay. Yes! Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death. It can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point. And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. Professor Orchi is right. If there's some other way... if there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Because we're just recapping so I don't have to put on the silly voice. At least that's what I'm going with. That's my justification, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Yes. Without leaving a trace. That's Taketsuchi Orchi. Orchi. As in ouchie? Is that the pun for his name? Ouchie. Yes, that's what I thought. It wasn't as funny as yes sir, no sir, but I do enjoy ouchie. Though it would make more sense if Franziska von Karma were around to sort of actually inflict ouchies on him. Of course! Winston Payne! Ouchie! God, of course. Okay. I did remember his name was Winston Payne, but I didn't make the double connection there. Of course. Of course. Obviously, Winston, he's winced in pain. So, has Takeuchi... Does that one have a... Taketsuchi Orchi. Taketsuchi Orchi. Like ouchie. Taketsuchi ouchie. Hey Kurabachi, welcome! Yeah, no problem. And feel free to shout out whenever they're doing it wrong. If someone is shot or strangled or stabbed or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. As our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Yeah, no problem, Kuro. Totally understand if you're feeling tired. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. I wonder what his pun is. Hosonaga. Satoru Hosonaga. Hosonaga. Hosonaga? Officer? There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no! Perish the thought! Calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Orchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. We'll continue pressing, or something might show up. But, of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. So are we able to hire, like, someone from England who's good at autopsies, maybe?
Yes.
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right! La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. He's not having a good reaction to that. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand? A killer blow! The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Professor Orchie is finally starting to see sense. Nope, he's just been wooed by a pretty lady. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma? What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. Well, if you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Okay, so we want to press her on this again, and apparently we'll be investigating Hosonaga. Inferior, what do you mean by that? Lands of the Great British Empire, yep. Investigate once, that's the end of it. Yep. Okay.
Wait.
Alright. Yes! There it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. Oh, what do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? Do you mean the thought bubble? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. Okay. But by moving the marker left and right, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. Alright, so this is gonna be like Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, where you were able to have multiple people in the stand and interview multiple people at the same time. Okay. While you're looking at the other witnesses, may be able to pursue them with A. If you catch the person at just the right time, you may uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so I should move the marker and then focus on the detective. And pursue with A and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait.
Okay, so we'll go across over to there, and yeah, down there it says we can press the A button to pursue.
Excuse me.
Scusi! What's the meaning of this? That was dramatic. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps, having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something that you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful English woman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of a crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief. So I take it you picked up the coin? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Oh, it's the bottle of water. Is that... This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day, our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it. I can't say that I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Alright. Well, we're going to have a closer look at this now, aren't we? It's on the victim's table. Miss Brett. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. All right. Now, let's have a look at what's going on. So, we have this over here. Carbonated water the victim and Miss Brett shared on the day of the murder. It was on the victim's table. So, let's have a look here. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was wondering. I wonder if it's meant to be champagne, or as they call it in France, champagne. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Is there anything else we should be looking at here? We've got the label. This carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke! You can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke. In more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. We have to look at it again at all? let's fast forward this. Is there actually a fast forward button in the menu? Give me a second. Enable text skipping. Let's do that. So I'm not sure what the button would be, but if there is some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Possibly this.
Yes.
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Miss Brett, would you mind drinking this for us? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only person who could possibly have done it. Well, two people, I would say. Could have been the waiter, and it could have been Miss Brett. Jezzael Brett, it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one's individual guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Ahem. If I may, I will silence you forever. It is you who should be silent. Let's go over. Silence you forever for this disgraceful attack on the lovely young... Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. Now let's step back for a moment and let's talk about this bottle. Even if it contains poison, like Miss Brett could argue that poison was planted in it later, in order to frame her. Since it was just in this guy's possession for 3 days, he could have done anything to it. Of course. You did? Oh, what was that? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country and at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? It could be that poison was placed in the glass. Which is why she took the glass with her. Because obviously she was drinking from the water as well, correct? And we've got this picture of her removing a glass from the scene of the crime. So, naturally, it would seem to me that Miss Brett smuggled evidence out of the courtroom, evidence of poison. Because if she were to poison that would poison herself if she were to drink from it. But poisoning the glass, much easier to do and much safer for herself. The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh, no. I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. Ta-ta!
Hold it!
And she's come to bring the glass! Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared, like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. Another to be continued. Jeez. This is the longest first case in any Phoenix Wright game. This would have been wrapped up already in any other game, but damn. All right. Let's save here. I totally understand post-Utopia. If you do need to sort of go walk your dog. Are you able to possibly walk your dog while listening on your phone, perhaps? Also, hey, how are you going? And anything that you do miss, you can watch the VOD. Those are saved to my channel for about a month, so it gives people the chance to sort of catch up on things. I'm doing pretty good. Having a lot of fun with this. Like, I'm a big fan of the Ace Attorney games, and the fact that this one finally got translated just brings so much joy to me. Okay. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense. Why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant! And a woman, no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yep, no problem. We'll see you soon, post-Utopia. Oh god, this guy's a Ferengi. Yes. I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. Now, obviously, this game is set in the past where sexism was a lot more prevalent than it is now. Obviously, sexism still exists. It just existed more back then. So, I guess trigger warning for people. And I'm sort of being serious here. Treat warning seriously. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. You're too late, little girl. The trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency! I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's a proper autopsy report! It's Giselle Brett's research. Oh. The Englishwoman's. After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare. What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up! The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Gisele's report has been added to the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett has been researching during her time at Yume University. Goodbye, then, and good luck. Okay, let's have a look at this. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. So it enters through a wound. Okay. So, Yeah, exactly. All poisons known in the country. This is obviously a new poison, so they wouldn't have known to look for it. Enters through a wound. Now, the professor has 2 wounds on his body. One is the burn mark. So you could argue that the poison was on the stake board and sort of done through that way. I think this way is rather unlikely. Obviously, the poison might not survive through the heat, and it just seems rather ridiculous. The other way is through the wound in his mouth after he had his tooth removed. So, he drank it, and the poison got into his body through that way. Through the water, which had been poisoned, may have been investigated, but they don't know what curare is. So obviously, you can't test for it. That's my theory. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. Could go even further back through her swapping the anesthetic and getting him injected by it. However, that would have caused paralysis way before. Yeah, I did consider that as well. But it did say that it took effect within minutes, so I don't believe he would have been able to sort of make it here in time before the paralytic and subsequent death took effect. So I believe that poison entering through the mouth wound is more likely. But definitely well spotted, Sarah. Always good to keep your mind open to all possibilities. And once you have eliminated all things that are impossible, whatever's left, no matter how unlikely, is what happened.
I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense.
My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention?
Yes.
Miss Giselle Brett. I wonder what her pun is. Miss Giselle Brett. I assume it's just Brit. I'm just going to go with that. I don't think there's anything more sort of... anything else that sort of stands out there. I think it's just Brit. We understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University, doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence, perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Hold on, the cat wants to come back in. Give me a second. Alright. I have returned. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense! Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before, for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist. Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order! 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 I mean, technically, if it's administered via injection rather than ingestion, wouldn't that make it a venom? Because if something's poisonous if you eat it, it's venomous if it's injected. Although it isn't like it's from an animal or anything. Technically, yes. The best kind of correct. What are you meowing about, Genie? Meow? Want some attention? Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, though anything administered through unnatural means, aka injection, is considered a poison. Okay. So it's more venom is being specific, whereas poison is the generic. Okay. Always interesting to sort of analyze, do a deep analysis of words like that. Curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Hold on, I wanna look this up now. Curare. How deadly is it? Yep, only becomes active by a direct wound contamination by a poison dart or arrow or via injection. How toxic is it? Either way, it's a genuine poison. It's probably not as instant as the game's making it out to be, because poisons don't usually work that way. But yeah. All right. So let's go back. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. Oh, how terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. You must consider, it causes complete paralysis. That means other parts of your body can't move either, including, say, your ability to breathe. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. In that brief Wikipedia article I looked at, apparently mouth-to-mouth resuscitation can be used in order to keep someone's lungs pumping while they're under the effects of it, as sort of like a stopgap measure to keep someone alive. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous! To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Council? Yeah, that's honestly something that surprises me as well, that the heart doesn't get paralyzed. That it's the respiratory muscles. Like, this is the case in a lot of things, actually. Like, you don't die from your heart stopping, you die from, like, in terms of paralysis, you die from being unable to breathe. I'm curious about that. I wonder if there's any sort of doctors who have an explanation for that. Because I'd love to hear about it. Actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing? What a happy tale for the defense.
If I may.
All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must... It is you who must be taught. That's something that I was sort of contemplating as well. Because the muscle is incredibly powerful if it's able to continuously beat as fast and constant as it does. You must be taught some manner.
Of course.
Dear lady. Ojo-sama!
So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it?
What?
You steal another's honest, hard work, and then announce the results as if you discovered them? I'm appalled! What a loathsome act!
Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual.
Whatever do you mean?
The South Americans discovered that poison before you did. Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Oh, we're not doing the colonialism talk here. We're just doing the straight up framing an innocent man talk. That's fair enough. Colonialism is a thing too. The South Americans discovered this way before the British.
Objection!
Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. What's so funny?
Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency,
Yes, Miss Brett.
may I borrow that bottle for a moment, please?
She's going to drink it. She's going to drink it to prove that there's no poison there, as well as stop people from investigating it for poison. And obviously she's not going to be affected because she has no mouth wounds. Well, yes, I don't see Why not? Hey, Ada, welcome.
Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys.
I'm sorry, but you also come from an insignificant island.
To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics. It's laughable, really.
Ugh.
But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers!
Wait! What are you doing? Drinking the evidence, good sir.
No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair.
She reminds me a bit of Dahlia from Englishwoman Arrow voice sure is something when you first speak into the stream. I'm sorry, Prim. I know it's absolutely ridiculous, but that's the voice we've decided on, and that's the voice we're going with.
Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned.
Going full falsetto on this one. Aren't you glad that I don't put on an actual voice when I'm streaming all the time? Or use a voice changer? Because otherwise it would be that all the time. So, no curare. Read the report, people! Read the report. It's not that sort of poison. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? The game's very good. I have been highly enjoying it. I've loved all the previous Ace Attorney games, and this one's already shaping up to be a real banger.
Ha 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 ha!
Ah, cool. I'm glad it's not too annoying.
You look quite incredulous, little boy. But, of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency.
Yes, Miss Brett? Are you sure you want that? Are you sure that's really what you want?
I should like to be excused now, please. I think I have given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries.
Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? Don't understand it.
Well, I suppose, if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade, or charade, will make a most interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London.
She didn't take an antidote beforehand. You might not have been here for this, but the report on the poison. Method of... it's not an ingested poison. it goes in through wounds, so it goes straight into the bloodstream rather than the stomach. The issue here is that the doctor, the victim who got poisoned, went to the dentist prior to have a tooth extracted, and it was still an open wound at the time when he drank this. So therefore, it would have gotten into the bloodstream that way. At least that's my going theory on it. Yeah, no problem, Post-Utopia. I'm happy to sort of explain what's sort of going on for people who weren't here at the time. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly top up my drink, and I'll also be back with some food, okay? So hold on a second, people. Alright, sorry about that. One thing that is on the way is a little sort of AFK animation. I'm just waiting for my rigger to sort of get on that, and that's going to be a lot of fun to sort of have, because I do have a sort of like a be right back sort of thing, but I don't like using it as much because it sort of erases the chat from the log, and I sort of like to sort of keep that visible. Hey Applejam, welcome. How are you going? So yeah, I thought like it might be a good idea to get like an AFK sort of animation for my avatar, so people who sort of like come in would be able to sort of see that I'm not here at the time. But yeah, just got myself a drink and I got myself some lasagna. All right, let's have a little bit of that now, and we'll proceed with the game. Okay. I'm doing pretty good. Playing a really good game so far. Great Ace Attorney. Like, we're still on the first case, and it's been really, really awesome so far. And I've had a decent day. Played some FGO, got some lasagna for dinner. Everything's coming up Araxis. But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Munisuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water. It contains poison. Absolutely. The culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool! Are you blind? There is no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court records somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? This.
Yes!
It's in the report, all right there. The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, we don't speak English. This report is utter gibberish. The impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? I think it was special characteristics. Let's double check. Let's head over here. Special characteristics. There we go. So we'll go with that. We just have a little bit more food as we savor our moment of triumph. Hopefully, this time. We thought we've had her on the ropes a few times. She's managed to wriggle free. Select the correct one. Select the correct one. Don't accidentally become overconfident. Select synopsis by accident. Special characteristics. Also, hey Draco, welcome. How are you going? We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison. Although it would have made for a good clip, I have to admit. But nope, Araxis is too smart for this. I am so smart. I am so smart. SMRT. I mean SMART. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years. To lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please! But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes. good point. So we're going to take the long route for this one, I see. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then that'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Council, no! That would be madness! But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see. That makes sense. Yes. The mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Reminds me of a CSI episode when someone died from ingesting venom because they had a stomach ulcer. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense as well. I wonder if the stomach acid would have had a deleterious effect on the venom, admittedly. But like it sounds plausible, at least plausible enough for fiction anyway. And as we all know, reality is stranger than fiction. So, Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... I told you that bird was real! Rip Skillingham! I knew the bird was real! Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. A victim might have taken medicine for the stomach ulcer, which calmed down the stomach acid. That is true. Although medicines do have a way of interacting with other chemicals. But again, as I said, it's it's plausible enough to work, and therefore it's fine for fiction. And reality is stranger than fiction, so there we go. Yeah, it's alright, Drago. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh, yes. Well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? They were precisely what we were talking about. At least the game's on the same path as we are. And let me just have some more lasagna. All poison experts here. It just means that we order takeout, right? We don't actually eat anything that any of us have prepared.
So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he?
Ah, that's right. Good gracious. Yay! What's on the menu, Sarah?
That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no?
Order! Order in the court! Order! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. So you're all going to accept that there's poison in the water. Alright. Why would they decide to just randomly put poison in their water? You know what? Let's not have food at Sarah's place. Are you trying to suggest? Yes! This curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial.
That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that.
What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's alright, Dragon. This is why we play Ace Attorney games. To see witnesses and perpetrators slowly break down and have psychotic reactions as their lies tumble down like a house of cards. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. More than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
Oh! He said the thing! I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett.
How? How dare you use that tone with me?
You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare? His medical report card. Because of the open wound in his mouth. Let me just have some lasagna to drive home the point. Because I can eat lasagna and he can't. Not just because he's dead, but because he had a tooth extracted, so he's not allowed to eat. He can just drink water.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and, dare I say, fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference. Get out of court! No puns allowed here! Row, row, row. The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So... fatal? Because the guy is dead. That's why it's a fatal contradiction. Fatal difference. Because he's dead. He died. It's fatal. Yeah. You can say fatal difference. It's pretty tasteless. Yeah, it's definitely not as tasty as this lasagna that I'm having. Mmm, delicious lasagna. Let's have some more. So, for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But I'm here, give the prosecution a boot to the head. And the wimp. What if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? To be fair, water tends to be pretty tasteless. Not if you add poison to it. Maybe that adds a taste. Inside? Yes. Like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. I think I'm glad that I didn't pick up the Ace Attorney games. So roundabout. Drago, get out of here. Get out of here. That's a bad pun. Honestly, I welcome bad puns. We need more puns. Hey, Rel, welcome. And yeah, this was not just ordinary water. This was fancy carbonated water imported from France. Because the original name of the Japanese games is like turnabout audiences or something like that. Something turnabout. And yeah, puns are the bread and butter of these games. I think cyanide's meant to be bitter, actually. Like, most people wouldn't actually drink cyanide because it doesn't have a very good taste. And I just know that it's also got the scent of almonds as well. Oh! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing?
I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile.
What do you mean?
Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave the vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it.
And yes, we're still dealing with the first case. Because for some reason, the Great Ace Attorney decided that its first case would be an incredibly long one compared to the previous Ace Attorney games. No!
I mean, it could just slip.
You know, that's not helping your case at all, lady.
Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed.
You know, you can be arrested for that. That's tampering with evidence right there. And this is not about hiding a wine bottle, this is about poisoning. And also, we've still got the glass. We've still got the glass. that she took home. And in the Supreme Court, what a terrible blunder. Because these games are absolutely ludicrous in terms of the burden of proof that it applies to the defense. Like, they're not meant to be realistic at all. She might escape getting charged for murder. She's not going to. We're going to go to her house. We're going to go find that glass that she took home with her. That this one over here that she took home, and we'll have evidence of the poison. At least everyone in the stand in this one is human, so that's a step in the right direction at least. I mean, are British people really human? Does Britain even exist? I'm not convinced that the United Kingdom exists. Welcome home, Ada. Officer, what are you waiting for? Humans so far. You are correct there, Sarah. Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible, at once.
You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire.
No offense to any people who are actually from the United Kingdom. 'Twas all in jest. Everyone knows that Australia is the real country that doesn't exist.
I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it.
How could you? You won't get away with this.
You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle, or not.
You.
And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution?
Oh, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady? I do enjoy doing that laugh. Like, that laugh, absolutely love that laugh. That's why it's a point redeem.
That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course, the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy.
Objection!
No! You killed the victim that day, using curare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime.
What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence.
Exactly! And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? It's like I'm in an Ace Attorney game or something like that. Let me just have some more food, okay? Before we continue with this This farce of a trial. Absolute farce. You had her, but now, is she really going to get away with it? Yep. Exactly, Rel. The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Yunosuke. Yes, we've come this far, but now, you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? Oh no. But my head's empty! You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. I did. So, think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Evidence makes head go brr. Every color. Zooming in on ear, huh? Ah. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? No, nothing at all. I've been over it 1,000 times in my head. There can't be anything more. At least, that's what I've been telling myself. Let's not forget that a lot has changed since the start of this trial. Your memories of that day have been stirred over and over in the last few hours. Kazuma as Kazuha. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve. Don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on then. Let's wipe the smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright. Can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is, could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. A clue that shows us who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been, is... Oh my god. What is the clue? It's here somewhere. What is it? I wonder what the clue might be. Geez, I'm just gonna have some more of my lasagna while I contemplate this. If only there was something here that could help us in this case. That is good lasagna. You know what? I think you're right, Post-Utopia. It's gotta be the fork. Oops! I missed the fork! Crap! Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Crap, I'm gonna get penalized. Yes. What is it? He's still miles away. Probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else away from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day?
Objection!
Wait a minute! Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this, little boy? Oh no, she's turned into the Wicked Witch. It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Maybe he just had correctly cooked steak. No, he didn't. He wasn't the one eating the steak, so it would have been her steak. Yeah, we know that the bullet did not go through the body, so therefore there wouldn't be blood behind. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Ah! Yes. Blood to have made it onto the plate. It implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter, which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon?
Objection!
This is beyond ridiculous! Fabricated nonsense! Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing?
Hold it!
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean? Yes, I took the plate in the interests of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Let me eat some lasagna as I sort of come down off of this. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. No, sir. Sorry for the delay. I see that the steak hasn't gone off in the meantime. Here is what you ordered. The steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? He said he took the entire plate, steak and all. He took the other guy's steak too. All in the name of justice, Rel. All in the name of justice. Why do you not understand this? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man! Show the court! Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. Oh, there's no blood. No blood anywhere. But no, that's impossible! I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Could be another plate. There were 2 steak plates. I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire, this one is alive. I believe we may have finally reached a conclusion in this trial.
Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over.
Bring the other plate out. This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. Good night, Kurabachi. Sleep well. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. A plate of steak has been entered into the court record. Was the plate I saw or thought I saw just a figment of my imagination? Let's have a look at this plate, shall we? It was removed from the victim's table after the incident. Can't find anything out of place. Let's have a look at the steak. Aha! It's the coin! It is the other plate! It genuinely is the other plate! What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. And the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. I was wondering when this would show up. No, I don't mean what is it? I mean, what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion in bullion. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... Alright, so we'll pull that out. We'll have a look at this first. I'll eat some lasagna while I'm doing this. The emblem on the side of the plate. Is it a cat? It's a cow, obviously. Most likely because the restaurant's signature dish is beef steak. It seems a lot of different restaurants have their own unique tableware. So, this is the symbol of La Carnival. I just got it! Carnivore! The Carnivore! That's what the restaurant is named! There we go. Okay, let's go grab the coin. I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well. Look. What? Are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak at an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. Chocolate coins! I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. Koban coin underneath this steak. With only one logical explanation. This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. And final piece of lasagna. I've still got a little bit more than this, but let's try and finish it up before it goes too cold. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself? Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself, which I already did. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. So when she turned the professor around, she also switched the stakes, I'm guessing? Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Let's quickly finish up lasagna. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
Objection!
Only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beef steak.
Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial.
I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled.
I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this plate of beef steak is the new clue to be found? It's underneath the steak, bucko.
Got it!
No, Counsel, I'm afraid that won't do. That was ambiguous at best. Do I... What? I was right. And this is... I was right. How do I turn the steak over then? It's like underneath it.
Got it!
God damn it. Hold on, let me... Lift up the steak. I have to press A. God damn it. What in the world is this? Damn it! My perfect trial. I was right. Good gracious! That's lasagna. Koban? What
on earth?
A Hoei error one at that. Miss Brett. Imagine giving players a button prompt for the required action. There was no button prompt there. No! This makes me so mad. Mad, I say. How dare they ruin my perfect trial, my perfect race record? How can I be a perfect Von Karma with this? Redo it all now. I saved a long way back. I'm not gonna redo it. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beef steak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? Yeah, I know.
What a ridiculous question! How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
Mistaken tipping protocol. You don't tip in Japan.
Objection!
Japan is a civilized country where you don't have to tip. I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction.
Objection!
Mistaken. True. But she's from the UK. You don't tip there either. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency! Yes, Counsel. A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak? If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. Placed under the steak as a secret bribe. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner. It's obvious there's only one person it can belong to. It belonged to the curiosity guy, and yes sir, no sir, stole it and hid it underneath his steak, hoping to sort of sneak it out. But then the crime sort of happened, and the detectives stole all the evidence. That's how all this went down. Owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is Curio Collecta. Curious Collector, whatever.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and the owner of Rasute, Curio Collecta-san. Cule, as in Mr. Cucumber something. Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. Oh, the gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, a Hoei era Koban, my prized coin. Then this Hoei era Koban, Do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No, please! Why would Kodakuta-san's koban be sandwiched between the victim's beef steak and its plate? It makes no sense! Which is why I'm asking to bring Kodakuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. Can't believe we come back round to that pair again. But I have a hunch. A strong hunch. And if we chase down the real significance of this koban, we'll find that it's a key element in this case. Oh dear, they're all on stand now. Petty significance. Anyway, I just need to quickly go to the bathroom, so I'll be back in a few minutes. Use this chance to get yourself a drink, go to the bathroom yourself. I'll be back when I'm done, okay? Alright. See you in a minute. Alright. Let's get back into the game, shall we? Hope you all got yourselves a drink, stretched a little bit, as that's something that's important to do. Alright. Thank you, Post-Utopia. Alright. What's this all about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Surely he is. Exploited by the police, we were. Like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice. A worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner's existence. Rasute. Like curiosity? I think it's supposed to be curiosity. Be that as it may, Kolekuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves... that's it! That's the one! The very one! The very exact one that it is! Have you ever seen this Koban before? Uh-oh, this is why you don't bring knives into the courtroom. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoei treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that faithful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin, sandwiched between a beef steak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate? Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing. Look to the man next to you. Dots. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. it attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes. I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Kuban incident is the work of the same thief. So, unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kolekuta-san's Koban is all too clear. What? Rasute. Ah! Rusty! Yeah, it could be a play on Rusty, certainly. As in, like, Rusty Antiques. I thought it might be Curiosity. Sort of like taking off the curio part because they've used that for his name. In which case, like, it could be a play on both. And the people who translated this have done an excellent job. Because I did read that apparently, like, they haven't kept the names the same for this. Even though they're Japanese names, they're names that have been changed in order to make the puns make sense in English. Because, like, obviously that's not a pun that people would get in Japan, correct? So the translators have done something really ingenious here. And that is, with the names, they've kept them Japanese, but also localized them. So, yes sir, no sir, for example, Curio Kolekuta-san. Those are examples of keeping them Japanese, but also making them names that would make sense in English in terms of pun work, which is clever as hell. Like, they've gone above and beyond the Call of Duty in this, I have to say. And yeah, Rasute could be a play on Rusty or Curiosity, because we've already seen his name is Curio Kolekuta. Curio Rasity. So yeah. That's so clever. What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Kolekuta-san's Koban and hid it under the stake?
Take that!
Yes, sir. No, sir. Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant, yes, sir. No, sir. What? How? How dare you, you monster! Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido! Ido is the mastermind behind all this! It was the baby! It was the baby all along! You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby. It's you who's the monster, Sergeant No, sir. Ah! Glippity glop, glippity glop, glippity glop, glippity glop, glippity glop. Ah! Nippon Imperial Army. Sergeant, yes sir, no sir. Preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. Epic breakdown. My good friend, was an example of the classic Phoenix Wright breakdown maneuver. Hold on. Let me... This is gonna have spoilers for everything in like other Phoenix Wright games, and don't go there yet. But that there is a video of all the witness and perpetrator breakdowns for the Phoenix Wright games, and they are all similar levels of ridiculousness. At least those are the ones for the trilogy. At least I think there's more. There's got to be more than that. But yeah, that's Phoenix Wright for you. It's all about breaking a person down and seeing their sort of ridiculous, over the top reaction as everything sort of falls apart around them. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages of the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? Hold on. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I would reword that. I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. And I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days, I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable, especially considering the state of that steak. That definitely looked like someone had just chomped on it. Rather than actually cut it. Like, look at it. Look at it. Those are not even cuts. Yeah, we did, Sarah, we did. And your target that day was the old man and his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido too. So, I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could. On the double. I slipped it under the stake, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. Honestly, is it really stealing if you're stealing from rich people in order to feed your family? This is ridiculous.
Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time?
Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I am quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency? Indeed. The theft of the Koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. It's totally related.
Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me.
Nonsense, is it? Well. Oof, I say.
And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. Pure madness.
Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day.
Hang on a second. We're not done here. Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. Can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. Love how that looked like he just gave the judge of WTF. It really did, Sarah. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You could think later, but if you don't call out now, it will be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Oh, wait, Miss Brett.
What is it now?
I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago.
That's,
and good day, perhaps. Like it's not day right now, it's afternoon? What are you talking about? Oh, what contradiction?
Objection!
What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Or the fact that she was ranting on about the sergeant's eating habits when she was eating the same way. Yeah. Because she was eating it the same way. she wasn't eating with a knife and fork as well. Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory. Where is he? Well, it's gotta be that then, right? Not using a knife and fork, although the knife is like that.
Take that!
The photographic print of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred? Because obviously they replaced the meat. They replaced the meat. What's interesting is the plate of steak that you can see on the victim's table. The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed, yes. Go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed, which is also why there's no bloodstain on that picture, even though it's not like in color or anything. I can't believe that the way that the steak was drawn, that we're all talking about, oh, she's not using a knife and fork, like that has been like a key part of the evidence. Oh my god. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? Hold on a second, hold on a second. I just need to send someone a quick message. Okay. Sorry. It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did! She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. And take a good look at this steak. In particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined, barbaric teeth marks there. Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
Objection!
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't help herself. Whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I must really be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course. This will all be over in the blink of an eye. I feel like you've been saying that for a few hours now. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave everything to me. I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. He needs all the boots to the head. Seriously, Ada. Of course. Ojo-sama! What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Yunosuke, Do you know where you're going with this? Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I saw, somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency.
Everything?
Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson.
Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase. Typical Japanese empty threats.
How can you be so sure, you racist wench?
Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago.
Actually, the evidence I am talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been... what? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist. This is absurd! This trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? I've been on jury duty before. Do you know how long that went for? 8 weeks. And they were still bringing forth evidence for quite some time. To get through all the testimonies and all that. It can't be! I don't believe you have it!
Objection.
I don't! But there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? I mean, it's going to be Satoru Hosonaga, right? If he's got the other steak, because he said that he took both steaks. Although, if it's the glass that I mentioned before, then Giselle is in possession of that. But we're going to go with Satoru first.
Take that.
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Mm-hmm. Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? I believe you brought the wrong steak. But you believed it was the right steak. That's ridiculous. No. I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak, and as well as admitting to stealing Kolekuta-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Attention! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still, I I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was, in fact, Sergeant Nosar's meal. But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table. Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Now please don't go look at the British Museum. I assure you, nothing there has been stolen at all. Nothing at all. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly! Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over? Not at all. I think she did. You did switch the plates? Oh, he did, maybe? Well, after it happened, Oh, he did switch the plates. I could have sworn that it was, a Brett who did. When I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one of the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have! I never saw you do such a thing. He's a phantom thief. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So, yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that is all I did. Sir! All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant!
Yes!
And there you have it. So, if Sergeant Nosar switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. What the fuck have I come back to? Why is this guy switching steaks with military precision and timing? He switched the steaks because he hid the coin underneath his own steak, and then when he heard that the waiter was actually an undercover policeman, he chose to do a switcheroo with her steak with his, so that they wouldn't think that he's the phantom thief, stealing from rich people, so that they'd think that it was her, or at least sort of jumble things up enough. So that's why he switched the steaks. And please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. I don't think they're letting it slide. I think they're going to prosecute him in a later case. Like, this is still just the case for murder. He'll get prosecuted later. What What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why this steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you? No? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now, we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. And that's an admission in court under oath. I don't really need to prosecute him as he's either committed theft or perjury. You do, like, it is an admission, like, you would use that admission in court under oath in his actual trial as evidence. This is still not his trial. Yes, sir! Sorry for keeping you. Well, again, we're still dealing with another case. So yes, there probably would be a plea deal, but right now we're dealing with something else. Here is the other steak and its plate. Please, feel free to examine it. That's cut properly. The blood stain. It's clearly visible. Look!
Yes!
Now, this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. Yep, no problem. Thanks for stopping by, Post-Utopia. I hope you have a good day. Thanks again. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right, Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! Breakdown, breakdown! Oh no, I'm having a cardiac arrest! Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no! This bird's gotta fly! Escape! Ah! The shocked look on everyone's faces.
Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me.
Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth, this time. Hey, Meta, welcome.
Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life, using curare. As you surmised, I chose this particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning.
So, you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water, because curare is unheard of here in Japan.
Yes, of course. I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water, and it would all be over. I would place the steak he had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table.
That would be me, I suppose.
Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment.
A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man.
I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt.
As I said, there are so many places that she could hide a weapon on her body. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were two guns.
Yes.
And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure that I would notice it.
And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as unintended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up,
that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point, he was already dead.
naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared.
Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside.
That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around.
Because, of course, You needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he had picked up the gun.
So, there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor.
Felony?
Your Excellency,
Yes.
I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later?
I shall call on you.
Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san.
And then she just walks out of court and escapes. Hang on a second! Bailiff, apprehend her! It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement? This can't be! Takatsuchi Ochi does not lose! Not to the likes of this rookie student! You'd better start getting used to tough opposition. Ah! Ryunosuke Naruhodo! What? Yes? She might try, possibly. Even though she isn't like an ambassador or anything like that, there might be some political reason to let her off. Or perhaps serve her time in a British prison. This insult to the Ochi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. She often English person. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Yeah, she killed an English person. We don't know why she killed him, but the reason why this was a huge sort of political scandal is because an English person died just after Japan and England signed an important treaty. So they were eager to sort of pin it on someone to show that justice would be done. And yeah, she was obviously a racist. Obviously, people at the time were quite racist. But yeah, she was racist. Oh, there goes his top knot. I think that's assault. 1,000 millennia may pass, and still the Ochi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. So many crimes. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. I'm shaking my name at Ryunosuke's family name. Ah, I see, Naruhodo. I understand. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, there's only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but what it will look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Did you actually spend 3 hours on this one case? No, I spent 8 hours on this one case. Because I spent 5 hours last time I played. This was a very long case, mind you. Normally the first case in a Phoenix Wright game is a lot shorter than this. I guess this game decided to make it like twice as long or something. Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Oh, yes! Sending a Japanese to the British Empire, that's gonna go well. Well, this is something that sort of happened. And to give many a prosecution, a boot to the head. I don't know what, I want no boot to the head. In you, I sense, how can I put it? Unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. Yay, Sakura. This court is now adjourned. 22nd November, 2:46 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants, Antechamber, Number 5. Can't believe it. Can't believe what's happened. Made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No. It was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. A good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Oh, thank you so much! If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Yeah, but you're the one who still did the investigation, and you didn't half-ass it either. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Yep, judicial assistant to the defense. Speaking of Mikotoba... there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, Your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend. Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and, of course, in law. And the sun will never set on the British Empire. At all. Not at all. It will never wane in influence. Watch and learn, my boy. See what happens in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? This sword is my life. Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go, and cuts down anything that's in my path. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me. That's not a dueling saber. You can't carry that in Britain. What's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes. Her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future. For Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that. What? Why not? Yeah, she's going to be tried in British territory, it seems. And I believe China's still in possession of the British at this point. It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. Or at least Shanghai, yeah. I'll admit I'm not the most up-to-date on my Chinese history of British colonialism. I must congratulate... what's all this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to be bringing her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case. Somewhere far away, where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the Friendship Treaty. Yeah, Hong Kong definitely belonged to the British until fairly recently. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then As long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments. They can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So, Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil. This new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. Professor! You're right. This is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about the details for now. To La Carnival! Will you accompany us, Professor? Of course! La Carnival's food is second to none. Let us not forget a man died there just a few days ago. He told us not to question this. I'm convinced he's got tuberculosis, though. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh, yes, thank you. It might also be a reference to Okita, possibly, who was a member of the Shinsengumi, who suffered from tuberculosis, actually. I'm not sure. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. Huh? To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer. not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it. For being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh, no, not me. All that tense verbal combat? I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all. Because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is? Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said that I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom, you can really be backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. That's technically true. At the very least, a client has to be able to zealously represent their client. So, if you don't believe in them in some way, then how can you zealously represent them in court? Zealously represent and advocate for them. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, You faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. I mean, I knew that I didn't do it. And in the end, you found it. Through your own efforts. And because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Well, it sounds serious. What is... Ah! You're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Is he going to die before he's able to tell us what this important thing is? Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes. That too. So, my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Mikotoba, Susato-san, who acted as my assistant, Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. He at least had the evidence. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. That's the end of the tutorial. Okay, let's save our progress. Yeah, you have to represent them even if you know the facts are against them. Like, either way, you've got to zealously advocate for them. Okay, so our next episode is The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Okay. Might actually end the stream here, actually. That's a good sort of stopping point, and we're sort of coming up on the end of things. Otherwise, we'd sort of get a little bit into it and then have to stop anyway. So yeah, I think we'll end the stream here for tonight. How did everyone enjoy that? I know I did, and I'm looking forward to streaming more of this because the great Ace Attorney games, they're a lot of fun. They're very silly, but they're fun, and as such, I like to play them. Anyway, I think it is time for us to raid someone. And I think this time we will raid Berry of Blue, who raided us recently, I believe. Yes, Berry of Blue raided us before, so we're going to return the favor and raid Berry, I think. Yeah, glad you did, Sarah. I know I certainly did. Thanks for posting that for me, Ada. Okay, so tomorrow we're doing a stream at 1 p.m. My time, so it's going to be earlier than normal. And we're hoping to finish off Lobotomy Corporation for that. On Wednesday is going to be Wildermyth. Thursday is our light novel reading. And Friday is going to be more Ace Attorney. So I hope you all look forward to that. All right. So, thank you very much. And I hope to see you all next time, okay? See ya! Yeah, Lobotomy Corp is really good.